everyone, it's Vanessa. Today I wanted to film the end of the year book tag that was created by Ariel Bissett a few months ago that I've been seeing going around lately, and I like the questions because there's not that many and it's getting me thinking about what it is exactly that I want to be doing in this last month to meet some of the goals that I set for myself at the beginning of the year. Trying to give myself a little push because I feel like my reading has been really winding down. So the first question is, are there any books you started this year that you need to finish? There are two, and I'm kind of sad about it because they're like really beloved classics, and I feel like this year I've realized that I need to keep trying, but I feel like this year I've realized that just I'm not drawn to classics. Classics don't really excite me. Like the language that is used, the characters, like kind of the plot devices, how it all moves along. I don't feel that invested in it. I don't know why that is, but I will try to finish these two. Maybe I'll be able to. The first one is East of Eden, which I am 200 pages into, and this is almost 600 pages. Everybody loves this book, and I was enjoying the 200 pages I was reading. It's just the fact that I had to set time for it, and just the fact that it's much more of a longer book than I usually read. I think for me it's also like the pacing of it. The other book is Pride and Prejudice. Yeah, I know. And this is another buddy read, and this is a buddy read that I initiated, so it's even worse, I think, because I got like these people together. I got like 3 other girls with me reading this book. I think only Brie finished it. For Valentina, it was a reread, so I don't know if she actually ended up finishing it, but she had already read it. I just feel like this book, I am halfway through. Nothing was popping off the page for me, and that's probably something #slightly controversial to say about such a beloved book, such an important book for literature. I like the wittiness of the characters and I liked how they talk to each other, but my god, look where I'm at, and nothing, honestly, nothing has happened. Her sister's sick, she went to visit some people, she's talking to some people at some party, and really nothing has happened. And I just think I'm not used to that style. Maybe I can finish this one. I need some encouragement, and yeah, we'll see. The next question is, do you have an autumnal book to transition to the end of the year? I'm gonna say my classics that I set in my 2017 TBR, and particularly I had 4 books in that TBR, and I've read Rebecca, and then it's Pride and Prejudice, which I just mentioned, and then it's Jane Eyre and Gone with the Wind. I think Gone with the Wind, it's not gonna happen, but Jane Eyre is the one autumnal book that I feel like can transition from fall to winter, and a book that I could maybe eat up in the winter time. I have tried to read it multiple times this year, I think like twice, and I've never made it past like page 20. And again, not because I'm bored or anything, I just haven't gotten into that mindset, and I haven't like consumed the book in chunks to be invested into it and continuing on with it. And it also doesn't help that I feel like that book and a lot of these classics like East of Eden would take time for me to read. A lot of people do put them on hold at the library, so I don't have those 21 days. Like I don't think I can read any of those in 21 days. And then usually there's people on hold waiting for them, and I have to return them back to the library. So it just feels like it isn't going to happen. But Jane Eyre is a book that I do want to read, and I think even I feel like I would like Jane Eyre more than I would like Pride and Prejudice from the little bits I've read of each of them. The next question is there a new release you're still waiting for? Not currently. I think all the new releases that I was really anticipating came out in November, October or November. I'm not usually the type of person that like counts down days until books are released. The next question is, what are 3 books you want to read before the end of the year? I couldn't say 3, of course. And this goes back to my 2017 TBR and also my Modern Mrs. Darcy reading challenge. Books that I want to read to help me in the Modern Mrs. Darcy reading challenge that I have started include Give Us the Ballot, which I have read 100 pages of, and it's about 300 pages, so I can do it. Another book is Human X, which I'm currently reading. I'm 50 pages in, and it's a really short book, so this is gonna happen. I think this book is a little bit more difficult to get into than The Vegetarian was for me, but I think I'm gonna like this book too. And I am listening on audiobook as well as I'm reading, and the audiobook narrator is really good. She's like acting. The next one are kind of a twofer, and it's the last 2 Ferrante novels. that I haven't read yet, and that would help me read 3 books by the same author in 1 year, because I read her second book, Springtime, I think. So if I could read those last 2 books in December, but honestly, I don't think it's gonna happen. They're long, but I want to. And last but not least, another book that was on my 2017 TBR in kind of like the new hyped fiction. I read Homegoing, which was another one in that category, but I haven't read The Underground Railroad. And I have checked it out from my library as a playway that I could just walk around with it on headphones. And I also have it on ebook so I could follow along in the book version, because sometimes it's difficult to get into literary fiction just through audiobook. I think I am, I would say maybe like 10% of the way in. I've been reading it here and there. Nothing really like gripping has happened yet that has made me like truly care for it. I feel like a lot of people that I know have really enjoyed this book, and I want to push myself to try new things, hoping that I like kind of the historical fiction aspect of it, the sci-fi kind of aspect of The Underground Railroad as well. So that's number 4. Number 5 is there a book that you think could still shock you and become your favorite book of 2017? Yes, and Jane Eyre is one of them, but the other one that I really think could do that is I Capture the Castle by Dodie Smith, which is was also on my 2017 TBR, and it's a book that I think I would really love, like the whimsy aspect of it. And then the last question is, have you already started making reading plans for 2018? I love everybody's answer to this because like everybody said yes. That's our personality type for a lot of us here on BookTube. Yes, I have started making plans. A lot of it is through other conversations that have been going on. Like I know Rincey talked on Twitter about setting goals for herself for a year, and how maybe that's not the best way to do it, and how maybe it's better to make like quarter goals or half-year goals. Everything really falls by the wayside come like August and September. I just stopped caring about my goals. I think this is something that I'm honestly thinking about doing, of doing maybe like half-year goals, and then, you know, a checkup 3 months into the year, and then like what did I accomplish by the 6th month. Another thing that I'm going to try to do is maybe instead of doing like a 2018 TBR, doing it kind of like a 6-month TBR of like the things that I'm really excited to get to in that 6 months time span. Another thing about those annual TBRs is that the first year that I did that in 2016 TBR, I think I made it like 10 books or 8 books, and then I ended up taking off only 2 of them and I read the rest of them. So I felt like I really accomplished what I wanted to do for the most part, and this year it has been really different because I put so many books on that TBR that I don't really care that much about anymore. Yeah, that could be, I think, a little bit better planned on my part, just less books on a TBR of that sort, and just really parse it down to like the top books that you really want to get to in a year or in 6 months. I've also started thinking about like personal goals that I could set for myself based on like what I read this year and where I think I want to go next year. I'm even considering not doing a like outside third-party challenge. 2016 I did Read Harder. 2017 I'm doing Modern Mrs. Darcy's. Maybe next year I just won't care about any of that, because I don't know if it really gets me to try new things. I think it's more like I like finding books that I can fit into the challenges that I was already going to read. It rarely, if ever, truly forces me to try something new, especially because I feel like my reading is very varied and I could fit things in the challenges that I have seen for Read Harder and Modern Mrs. Darcy. I guess it will depend on how I'm feeling, but right now I'm leaning towards not doing any of those kinds of challenges and just setting personal goals for myself. That is it. This video became very rambly, it seems like. So I hope that you enjoyed listening to my thoughts and on my plans for the end of the year. I've loved watching these videos, so if you haven't made one yet, I suggest you do so. I've been watching like everybody's. Thanks so much for watching my video. I shall see you in my next one. Bye bye.